All right, here is our last little walkthrough video. Actually, I need to be over in this corner. So let's talk about labs. You'll access the labs through Canvas. Though they will be assignments listed under the lab thing here. So if I show you modules, I don't have them built out just yet, but under lab assignments, you will click on the link and it will take you out to your HOL dashboard. So this is the Science Interactive hands-on lab learning platform that you are using. It's called the SI Cloud. This is associated with your lab kit, and so you will, once you click through it from Canvas, be enrolled in the online platform. You need to access everything through Canvas. So it will open to your course, which will look like this. This is your course dashboard. Here's where you'll be able to see, if you were a student, let me switch to student view here, the list of lessons that you need to do as a student. This is what your schedule is for labs. And remember, labs have requirements of spending a certain amount of time, and you have to complete the prerequisites in order to unlock the lessons, and the lessons need to be done in that, at least in this first order here. So as a student, you land here, this is what your requirements are. You'll also see these assignments. You'll see Getting Started linked in Canvas once that is deployed to your class. Again, I'm using my template because Canvas isn't live just yet, so you're not seeing that 100% the way that it will be when you are signing into the class and watching this video. We're doing the switch over, so everything's a little bit in that transitional period. So thank you for your patience and understanding in that system. So for instance, if you go in and you're like, okay, it's time to do the Getting Started, let me do this. So I click on Getting Started. You'll see here that it shows Exploration, Exercise 1, Exercise 2, and Evaluation. You as a student are required to do all parts, okay? If it says to do all parts, you are doing all parts. There are questions associated, there are tables associated. That is the stuff that is you are going to be graded on. Your attendance is completing these lab materials for that lab. Now, you are expected to do the exploration and evaluation in the time outside of the time calculated for labs. So let me show you. When we come in here, they're saying the exploration is expected to take you 30 minutes, the experimentation is 2 hours, and the evaluation is 30 minutes. You as a student are expected to spend, in a 10-week course, which is the summer course, 4 hours and like 40 minutes or something in lab every week. It roughly is almost 5 hours. So mind you, this does not take 3 hours, but even so, that exploration and evaluation is homework, okay? So that is something that you need to do pre-lab and post-lab homework. It is not included in the time requirements calculated for Bio 110. This would be the additional work that is required. So in order to do this, you would do the exploration. Is going to walk you through how to use this platform completely, go through everything in here. These labs are very, very user-friendly. Generally speaking, very straightforward. They have been assessed. We've gone through these labs with several students, lots of students actually. They are very, very, very straightforward. So this is walking you through what those expectations are. You'll have questions you need to complete. The questions are going to be very short, very simple. Many experiments require student-supplied items such as rubber bands, fresh flowers, distilled water, all of the above. If we had watched that, you would be able to say all of the above and go next. Take the next question. I have ordered my lab kit. If you have signed up for the class, your lab kit is part of your course fee. You need to go to the bookstore and get a hold of that lab kit, okay? And that has to be in the first week of class in an online class so that you can ensure that you can do the labs. So you would say submit, and then it does the next one. You would go through that whole process. Experimentation is always going to be in the same sort of thing here. Here are your learning objectives, the thing that you are expected to work on, okay? Materials. You are going to be required in this case to have a pen or pencil and a sheet of paper. Pretty straightforward materials. And then student supplied materials. This is talking you through what some of those things would look like based on what you've learned in the exploration. And then recording data and answers. And what that looks like is you'll have this table down here that says data. And in this, you will be able to record your information. You'll record anything that you are required here where it says record your city, state, and time of day in data table 1. That is where you go to do that, okay? Evaluation is going to be a set of questions. This does go into a lockdown system, so this is kind of a quiz. This is a homework assignment. You would say continue evaluation, and you're going to go through each of these. You're going to answer your questions. That's it, okay? That is what gets recorded in your grade book then as your grade, and that is what is getting recorded having completed those questions in all of these sections, including, you know, your experimentation, recording your data and answers. All of that is what gets recorded and counted as your attendance for lab. That is what you will see for all of your lessons. They are all set up in the same sort of way. You will be completing them as a student. You need to do these first 3 first. You cannot do the rest of these. You can't even start the lab kit inventory until you've gone through learning how to use the kit, lab safety, because obviously we want you to be safe. These are very safe labs, but there are some things that you need to be aware of. Just like if you're cooking using the stove, you need to be aware of how to do it safely. Same sort of thing here, okay? Lots of stuff is based really on experiments that you could do with your kids. If you have kids, 100% get them excited and involved in your science, but make sure that you're doing it safely. So make sure that you are being very safe in what you're doing, using the proper protection equipment, using the proper procedures, okay, following your instructions. Again, if I come in here, here's my procedure. I strongly recommend reading everything through completely before I am like gonna start the labs. That is just best practice for labs in general. If I'm doing the biomolecule labs, you'll see that I have a huge note of instructor notes here saying, legitimately, please read through all of these procedures, read through all of these experiments before you start, because you will end up running into issues. You can absolutely print these pages. One of the getting started things tells you how to do that and cross them off as you go. If you're someone who gets lost very easily, you're a little bit squirrely like me and my husband, absolutely print it off, put a check mark as the things as you go through them. You'll see that there are lots of extra little clicks, links and videos and different things that have been added into some of these, especially if we're finding things that my husband did this lab with me because he's not a science person, to ensure that anything that is a non-science person you could go through and get confused on, we had a solution for you written down. So that's the sort of thing that you are going to be following. Make sure you read through this, follow the directions, okay? You'll be fine. It's really fun. We get to have a lot of fun with this. Students really do like doing the labs. But in order to do the lab safely and effectively and with the best time management, you need to plan ahead. So this particular lab it takes a while to do, but there's no setup involved. If we go to lessons and, for instance, this prokaryotes, okay? This lab takes several days to complete because you need to allow time for bacteria to grow. Be sure to start at least a week in advance. So one of the things that you should be doing is looking at least a week in advance at these labs and seeing if there's anything that you need to do to be prepared for it in advance, or how much time it might take you. Because again, some of those getting started labs are not going to take you that long, but then the prokaryotes lab might take you longer. The biomolecules lab might take you longer. The cellular respiration lab might take you longer, and you're going to run into that. So do plan ahead. Let your instructors know if you have any questions or any difficulties with this platform, and please don't hesitate to reach out to us if you need help. Thank you very much.